Independent game design. It is also commonly known as indie game development, where indie is the short form for independent. It refers to game made by one person or a small team without financial support from publisher. The pros for independent game design are limitless creativity, relaxed atmosphere, and flexible deadline. For the cons are lack of business knowledge or unreasonable expectation, limited resources, or no big projects. Two examples of video game by indie game development is, the first one is Thomas Was Alone. It is an indie puzzle platformer video game created by Mike Bithell. The second game is Tetris, which is most influential puzzle game in video game history.
Moving on to the game interface design as a science. A game interface design is a system of visual components that allows players to interact with the game story and break into the game space. Game with wonderful interface design can be developed with the help from cognitive science and behavior psychology. For example, in Destiny, they use the minimalist features to convey main feedback elements such as health, ammo, and power charge to the players. So this heads-up display utilizes a 30-second rule within short-term memory of a person. It only needed to be checked every so often to make the player aware of the ammo count or special ability charge. So what is the game design versus game interface design? Game design refers to the use of creativity and design to develop the game for entertainment or educational purpose. Game design has to be challenging, explorable, scalable, crazy juicy so that the players are captivated by the spectacle well beyond the needs of feedback from the UX perspective. And we want them to inviting of error, we want players to learn through mistakes. While on the other hand, game interface design has to be transparent, affordant, scalable so that it unfolds as the user develops skills, feedback rich, and of course constraining.
Technological innovation, a new or improved product or process whose technological features vary substantially from those of the past. The excitement of playing games with more visual stimulation, creativity, and satisfaction has increased as technology evolved. Technology has changed the way people in gaming, from the SNES, first brought game in Egypt, to virtual gaming, facial recognition, and gesture control technology. 8 technological innovations were discussed in this video, which are the touchscreen, projector control, speech recognition, speech synthesis, gesture control, electroencephalography, unconscious control, customizable and adaptive interface.
Touchscreen is both input and output device. It normally layers on the top of an electronic visual display of an information processing system. Users give input or control the system through simple or multi-touch gestures by touching the screen with stylus or one or more fingers. Enable the user to interact directly with what it displays. Why touchscreen use? It is intuitive, especially to younger generation of users. Having one touchscreen instead of several buttons can make a device smaller. It is cheaper to design and manufacture a device with one screen instead of one with screen and buttons.
While interactive interface projectors are far from new, the concept of projector control utilizes a different approach that promises to turn just about any solid surface into a touch-sensitive input device. Room Alive is a proof-of-concept prototype that envisages the future with projection mapping for immersive gaming. It is an AR gaming system that uses an array of Kinect and raw projector to blanket the room's wall. OmniTouch is a wearable depth sensing and projection system which combines a projector with a Kinect camera that enables interactive multi-touch applications on everyday surfaces. Product example that uses the concept of projector control is the Salon Magic Cubes. It is a projection keyboard and multi-touch mouse all-in-one easy-to-use product. It can connect to any Bluetooth HID devices easily and is compatible with the latest operating systems such as the iOS and Android devices.
Speech recognition model is the transformation from an input speech signal into a sequence of phonemes is carried out largely through an active or feedback process. The transformation of speech recognition model can be seen in the slide, which is from the Bell Lab 03 through the IBM Showbox to the Carnegie Mellon University Harpy, Apple introduced Siri, and then the Outring Christopher Cats, the Amazon Alexis, and the next one is the Microsoft Cortana. Speech recognition in gaming industry. Speech tech makes share the gaming characters in gaming, where this system is developed. The first voice recognition enable game angles in Hellcat. Making headway, Nintendo released Hey You Pikachu and Odama. And Hey You Pikachu, players need to communicate with the Pikachu using a voice device that was made possible by the game. In Odama, the player need to use the microphone to utter some commands include the retreating and flanking. Okay, 6 years later, Northside released Bot Colony, where the player navigate the world full of robots, and the game rely of natural language rather than pre-programmed command. Moving forward, in speech recognition in gaming industry, use more complex games such as VR-enabled Starship Commanders, which is this one allow player to converse with non-playing characters. Speech synthesis is a form of output where the computer or other machine read the words to the user out loud, and the technology is often called text-to-speech (TTS). The most common use of TTS in gaming world is to add characters' voices, where the characters' voices by TTS can be in emotion, adopt a particular style of expression, and portray nonsense of characters to give life to stories and game.
The next technological innovation is gesture controls, which contain 3 sub-features, which is motion sensing, facial recognition, and eye tracking. Here, the technology is remarkably simple for a player to operate a device through their gesture and movement. An impressive example of early motion control is Nintendo Wii, where the player acts as a motion element, but alongside the push of buttons, they also react to the motions of player arms. These are the example of gaming that are using motion sensing features, which is Neon World, Resident Evil Revelations, and Sony PlayStation 5. Facial recognition. So basically this method is to identify or verify a user or player using their face. Gaming that are using the features are Honor of Kings and later followed by the release of Peacekeeper Elite. Then eye tracking. Eye tracking is a technology that adds to the gameplay experience by allowing the players to use their natural eye movement. It makes the interaction feels more real and becomes more richer and makes the player instinct and stand into the game itself.
Electroencephalography (EEG) is the physiological method to detect the electrical activity generated by the brain via an electrode attached on the scalp surface. The data obtained from EEG can be analyzed using computational methods, and lots of information can be gained. One of the examples of EEG devices is the Muse by Interazone Team. It is a wearable brain sensing headband that can measure brain activity via the EEG sensors. The integration of EEG in video games with the use of cognitive analysis, mood analysis, and brain-computer interface (BCI) are gaining more popularity in the gaming industry. A BCI is a communication system that can help the user to interact with the outside environments by translating the brain signal into the machine commands. The most popular EEG gaming device is the NeuroSky's Wave headsets.
Next is about unconscious control. So usually we might face a failure or issues in gaining 100% functionality in gaming area. Sometimes it has to be felt to recognize the player's gesture during the game, especially the eye and speech recognition. It has to be clear and easy to be heard by the sensor or the system so that the player can go further with the game. So we call it as unconscious control for this technological innovation.
Customization is a change guided by explicit user request, while adaptation is a interface initiates change from routine response of user actions. So user interface should automatically adapt to the capabilities of the device at hand, to network connectivity, and to the user's activities, location, and the context. However, if user wish to provide customization guidance, user interface should provide ways to control adaptation process to the user at any level. For example, it is being implemented in every social media like the Facebook.